What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So sorry for the delay. We were having some technical issues, but very happy to have worked them out. We did our best. It takes like 8 people to run this, apparently, or 2 smart gentlemen. So I want to first and foremost thank you for your patience through this, Ryan, through this issue that we were just having. But everybody from Pogo Pedals, Ryan Steinberg, thank you so much, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Excited.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for having us.
Yeah, dude. And I know you said you wanted to bring your partner in on this, a couple months ago when we were talking about doing it, and that couldn't work out. But I really appreciate you making some time tonight.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I usually do with these? It's basically the beginning. I want to find out. I don't know much about you. Like, we barely know each other. So it's like two dudes getting to know each other right now.
Yeah.
And I have a very specific moment in my life when music kind of entered and has set me on the path. So I want to hear your story of that. So as far back as you can hearken and remember, like, is there like a specific moment when music entered your life and kind of spurred everything from then?
I mean, I started playing gigs in high school. Probably, I don't know, 16 years old or so. And, I learned guitar a couple years before then. And I was a drummer first, actually, before a guitar player. And I did marching band in high school,
Nice.
all that stuff. But yeah, it's funny. I started playing guitar because like the neighborhood kid who was like my best friend at the time, he was like already a drummer and had a drum set. And he was like, how are we going to jam? You need to get a guitar. So I just got a guitar then. And then it kind of, just started playing and really enjoying it. And then I got away from, I'm not the world's best guitar player by any means. I got away from like the craft of actually getting really good at my instrument. And I started diving really heavy into the craft of like composing, producing, and recording audio. I'm a nerd for those things, a really big nerd for those things. I've done it ever since high school all the way throughout. So I've been, recording for, I don't know, 8-9 years or so. And always been super, super fascinated by the studio and digital and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like how I started. And then of course I did a lot of touring as well with the band. I played equally. I come from digital, which is funny. A lot of pedal guys are like so hardcore, like hardware, and I am too now. But I started on digital. I love the versatility that digital offers, and we did bring some of that into the product we have, and then the pedals that we're designing currently.
Well, let me bust in real quick, Ryan, because I want to know. No. I want to know. So, like, let's go back to like audiophile producer Ryan.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, was there a specific record that made you feel like you wanted to get into producing? Like, so for me, a lot of people talk about like Pet Sounds and like Sgt. Pepper and crap like that. But like, what was it for you?
No one's really ever asked me that before, and I don't know if I have an answer, to be honest for you. I don't think there was like a particular record, so to speak. I think I fell in love with the craft because like I was always playing in bands, and we always needed somebody to do it. We needed someone to cut the demos, and we needed someone, to translate what it was we were trying to do before we go and spend tons of money in the studio. And I always filled those shoes, and I fell in love, honestly, with the process. It wasn't like I didn't hear a record and said like, oh my gosh, that's the best thing I ever heard. How do I replicate that? It was really just, just doing the process enough, falling in love with it, and then kind of bringing other bands together. They always knew me as, the guy in our scene that was recording people. So I did a lot of demos for other bands in the area, made a lot of friends that way, and especially when I started touring as well. And that's what did it for me as far as like becoming a studio rat and a engineer nerd. It was those things. It wasn't really a record, so to speak.
Okay, so it was a necessity.
Yeah, kind of.
Basically. Okay. What were you using then? Like, if you're talking about the digital world, have you been in DAWs the whole time, or were you using like a 4-track in the beginning, or?
Yeah, for the most part, I was in DAWs from the get-go, but I do have a portable recording station from, I think it's from Korg, and it's like an 8-track. It's digital and it's like a touchscreen thing, but that's the closest I have to like hardware, you know. But yeah, I've always been in digital. I've came from digital. I've been very inspired by the versatility and the options that digital gives, and it just inspired me. Being able to do manipulation digitally, I think, is a hell of a lot easier than trying to do with hardware.
Yeah. So what were you using in the beginning? Was it like Cakewalk or was it Pro Tools or what were you using?
No, I've like used them all at this point, but I started actually, I think it was Sony. I don't know if Sony Vegas maybe. My buddy's dad had, and we were using Sony, and then I did my last name being Steinberg. I picked up Cubase, right, and then quickly I've been on PreSonus Studio One for forever now.
Okay.
Since then, yeah.
It's funny, man. When I started in like 2002 is when I started messing with that stuff.
Yeah.
I was working in Digital Performer, and like when I used that for a long time, dude, probably like 6 years. And then I got to the point where other people were like, oh, why haven't you tried Logic? Or why haven't you tried Pro Tools? Blah, blah, blah. And then when I did, I was like, oh, wow, this doesn't look archaic like Digital Performer. Like, you know, it's totally different, man. Like, it's come a long way. And I feel like Pro Tools has got me by the jugular. I try to get into Luna. Like, I like how Luna looks.
Me too.
It's super sexy and like everything looks really hip. Yeah. But Pro Tools has this, like, I say this all the time affectionately, it's a joke, but like Pro Tools, sometimes the plugins look like Matthew Broderick in War Games. It just looks outdated. Like it doesn't look it doesn't look like they're trying. You know what I mean?
I think they've at this point they've acquired the fine wine status, and I don't think that, you know, they're not trying to be the hip new guys in town. They're not trying to be the flashy, like, let's get them. They have the name status. They're not trying to, dangle something flashy in front of you to say, let's get these kids. Let's get them. Like, you know, now Cubase's rework a couple years ago, that's exactly what they did. Because I remember, you said the word archaic. I remember old Cubase and how it looked, and they just, you know, reformed and it looks like Studio One now, and it's just like, it just looks fun and inviting, you know. It looks cool. I think the Sony program I used to start was actually like was a video editing suite, but also had like audio capabilities. That's really like how I started, but you know, then quickly went from there.
Man, there's just so many choices. I mean, they're all flavors of ice cream, you know.
Yes,
it feels like, you know, it's just like whatever clicks with you. Pro Tools just happens to be the thing that I'm so used to now that I don't even try.
Well, it's not bad. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's widely accepted, you know. I'm just, dude, I'm with Studio One forever, man. I love it so much. It's so easy. It was very easy to learn, and I'm just, my friends are like, dude, you're like a hotkey wizard over here. Like, I'm really fast. I've been using it for so long. I know my process in it now, you know, and I'm very effective with that program, so I don't really have the need to try anything else, I guess, at least in the moment.
Yeah. It's like we're sounding like old men, like, get off my lawn, like these TAWs. Well, I wanted to ask you, so let's go back to like high school. So first of all, it's funny. The word necessity is like the Sesame Street word of the day, because you start off as a drummer. They're like, no, we need a guitar player. Like, okay.
And so like,
yeah, we need a producer. Okay.
Okay.
So what was it the same thing with the pedals? Like with like starting to build? Were you someone like, hey, can you build me something?
No, the pedals didn't come until much later. Like I said, I'm telling you, I lived in the digital world for a very long time. And it wasn't until I started touring that I really got exposed to like great hardware, you know? I mean, it was weird. I'm telling you, I went from a Line 6, you know, or a crate combo amp with 2 gain controls to, you know, when I had those both riled all the way up. And I went from there to like the Pod HD digital thing, and then I have a Helix. I've played Axe Effects and all that stuff, and those just like blew my mind. And for what I was doing, because I recorded all these different genres of bands and all these different types of music, I needed something that was super versatile. So that's why I went that digital route. Then I joined up with my current band, which I've been in for about 8 years now, and it was around that time when I started kind of looking into guitar pedals. And up until that point, I mean, I barely even played a single pedal. I was so into digital. But I joined this band, and these guys have amps from, my guitar player had an orange, I think from the 70s. I think it was the either the OR series or a vintage like an AD30, if you know those amps.
Yeah.
He had both of those amps in 2 different times. So I started playing those, and like I never heard anything like that. I was so in the modern gear, never played anything like that. And then I start touring. I start seeing guys out on the road with, really nice plexis and JMPs and things like that. And then I noticed, I'm like, hey, that's different than what my JMP patch or whatever. It's different. There's a feel there. And then when I got into that is, obviously touring on the road, you get exposed to a ton of gear. I mean, so much gear. You meet all these players and stuff, and that's what sparked my interest really in pedals. So then we came home from tour, and we were doing a lot of touring. I mean, we would be gone months and months and months. I would be home for a few weeks, and then we would go out on the road for months and months and months again. So at the downtime, it was like, all right, what can I do to make some money? And so half of the time it was recording bands, and then if I couldn't get booked or anything, I started like a company, but not really a company, and I made a couple clones. And I wasn't any good because I don't have any background or anything like that. Like, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was making kits and stuff like that, or a couple, buy a board and, populate it myself. But my selling point was never on the tone of the pedal because I wasn't any good. It was, I also have like a graphic design kind of background. And it's funny you say necessity. I was the guy. I was the digital media guy. I made all of our tour posters. I made our merch designs. I made, the videos and stuff. So, my thing on like these pedals I would like hit people up and be like, hey, let's do something funny. So like I would make like a Taco Bell pedal. And like, I remember it, dude, the controls were beef, sauce, and pleasure, and it like, they were just fun. Like, they were just fun pedals that like, kids in bands like 20 years old and stuff wanted to buy. And that's kind of like how I started, getting into pedals.
That's great, dude. I think I was right before this. I was watching the GHS live show because he always talks about those Salvtech amps, and they were doing like a special on those today.
I saw that. Yeah.
Dude, I didn't realize how great those things sound. I had no.
How sick they are. What is it? The MiG 50, I want to say.
Yeah.
Well, it's got you can jump. There's a high channel and then like a low channel with different EQs, and you can jump them together and blend the two. The first time I heard that, and I still haven't bought it yet, but I was trading, a guy made I made him a couple like custom pedals, and he made me a custom guitar cabinet, and we did a trade, and he showed me his. That's like, I tested the cabinet through his Softtech 50, and I was like, I played one chord, and I go, yeah, I have to buy this now. Dude, they're so sick. They're so sick.
What's behind you? What is that red Marshall?
Yeah, it's a clone, man. It's nothing crazy. It's 8 watts, and it's really awesome to bring on tour when I did, because you could, like that plexi tone is when you crank the volume all the way up, and you can't really do that with a 50 or 100 watt without like bringing an attenuator out. So I have this guy, which I got in a trade. I actually traded my orange 8030 for it. And it's sick. You just crank it up all the way, and it's like the best tone ever. And the sound guys aren't all pissed off at you. And then I have an EVH because I also come from these earlier bands. I'm in a rock band now, but these earlier bands were metal, and I was always metal, heavy music, high gain. And that's probably why I didn't really discover tone and guitar pedals until later is just because I was always the high gain style music, you know?
Well, first of all, what's the name of the band that you're currently in?
So I'm in a band. We're called Open Your Eyes.
Okay, cool. And it's more of like it's not metal, but it's rock. So rock,
Yeah,
like Foo Fighters rock, or
yes, it's definitely Foo Fighters rock kind of sound. And our newer record, which is still unreleased, is a little bit more like modern rock, like Octane Radio. So we started going back towards kind of the heavier sound. But yeah, the band in a nutshell, the band name is Open Your Eyes, and a lot of the values. My business and my band share a lot of the same values. We literally, like, our lyrics, like, we really wanted to challenge people to open their eyes to like things that, you know, are maybe hiding in front of them that they don't realize. And how that kind of translates to my business is we want to promote like music's a universal language. Let's all vibe together, you know, and it's like no negativity, and you know, let great people make great things. So my band's kind of on the same spectrum on a different road, but that's kind of what we try to promote in both of those projects.
well, man, everybody knows we need some positivity in the world right now, dude. So that's well. So then let's talk. I put on some special lighting today because of this.
Nice.
So I just, you know, we should kind of dive in. So when you start, so you get past making your Taco Bell pedals, right?
Yeah.
And then you find, do you hit a stride? Do you one day like create the atomic bomb? Like, do you like messing, tinkering, and then you're like, oh, what is that? Or were you like, I like the Zen Drive, I like the Jan Ray. How do I? But they need to be improved. Like, how does it happen that you come upon this? Because I feel like there's got to be steps in between Taco Bell and this.
Yeah, there sure were. I mean, number one, there is a very long period of years in between those. You know, this timeline is very far apart. So basically, a lot of this, you know, it's not me. The majority of what I do for this company is, you know, I run all of our media. You see me a lot, and I'm here with, you know, concept, and I help with revisions. But I have such a great team, and we all put a lot together, you know, into this. And basically what that stems from is, so fast forward a few years from Taco Bell pedal, right? And so at this point, I'm doing light touring. Like, we used to tour all the time, and I don't really tour anymore, or at least very, very often. And, you know, so I was doing light touring, again, looking for ways to make some money. And my guitar player at the time was doing demos from a guy that was building pedals, and really, really great pedals. And then he connected me through that. He was like basically his right-hand man for doing all these guitar type pedals. I don't know if you know the guy named Scotty Smith. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, so he makes like seriously really, really killer pedals. He had a really, really popular pedal, like a Klon style, that just really, really blew up. And basically, my guitar player kind of connected me and him together, and I started doing some media for him. And you know, I came in, shot a couple like vlog style videos, and then I did a couple pedal demos. I took his pedals, and we went, me and my guitar player, who's like a fantastic player, we went to a bunch of studios and we shot videos there. And so then the more that I connected with Scott, we basically kind of at that point figured he's got some really great ideas and I've got some really great ideas. You know, I was, again, making all of this media and had all these very forward ideas for my band at the time on like how to take my band to a business level. And so at that point, we kind of knew that we had wanted to do business, but it wasn't until maybe another year or two after that that him and I started working together. And we also brought in, actually, one of the guys that I met on tours, Joe, who's done a tremendous help, not only with the Zen Ray, but also with the new pedals that we're working on. Joe was my sound guy. I met him on the road, and him and I we hit it off. So again, let's jump back in the timeline a little bit, where I meet Joe. I'm making these funny, you know, fun pedals and clones. And Joe's a technician. He actually helped repair this amp a few times when it went down on the road. So him and I clicked. He was talking about doing pedals. And then a couple years later, we had just started Pogo Pedals, and or at least the concept, it wasn't public yet. And I know that Joe was actually doing pedals. He had a company called Noisy Neighbor, and
I love that.
Yeah,
that's a great company name, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. But I actually hit him up, and we're like, hey, we're kind of tossing some ideas around, and we could use some help. And so Joe came, and together we all kind of worked very hard. Scott helped originally with the original design, and then me and Joe kind of came in, and Joe made a bunch of revisions, and then they used my ear as like a modern kind of player, and we went back and forth for a while. We made a lot of revisions before we put this guy out. I mean, a ton. You said you followed us beforehand, and we had a prototype. We had this guy that we kind of put out there in the world, and we've made a lot of changes since here. This is prototype 001. It's the first one we put in an enclosure, but I mean, really, our pedal is not, I should say, it's not a Zen Drive clone. It's not a Jan Ray clone. We were inspired by it, by both of the pedals, because those are both just, I mean, they're awesome pedals. They're really badass. And we wanted to make something that kind of not just bridged the gap like between those pedals, but we really, I mean, our whole thing is, bringing boutique sounds to a modern player. And I am the pinnacle of that modern style player because I come from digital and the versatility and the tweakability. And so we spent a lot of time going back and making revisions on this and kind of changing what we were doing to be able to get the versatility, to get the tweakability. I really believe this sounds great with any combination. You can get really, really good sounds. There's not a sweet spot in this. Well, maybe I should hold up the real one. There's not a sweet spot. A lot of people, they set the pedal in one setting and that's it. I really believe the way that we've designed it, you can tweak it so it sounds great with heavier guitars, lighter guitars, boomier amps, tighter amps. So.
And it makes a PV Rage 108 sound pretty great too, man. Like I went live one time, guys, and Ryan showed up and he was like, because I did this whole video about, can you make a crappy little amp like a PV Rage 108 sound go with boutique pedals? So I went live on Instagram and I was playing with the VS Audio Blackbird, because that's the whole thing with that pedal, right? So, and then I had this right next to it, and you're like, you should turn on, let's listen to it. And I was like, oh, I haven't tried that yet. And sure enough, this thing in front of it makes that amp sound good.
Yeah.
So what I like about this pedal, and I'll say, let me blow smoke for a little bit, is I feel like, and I had been watching and following what you guys were doing for quite some time before contacting you and stuff. But what I thought was really impressive immediately about this is that it felt good to play.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm playing through stuff, and I have a Jan Ray, I had a clone, I sold it years ago, because it's just a pedal. The mythology is out there. I mean, there's plenty of other companies that are making clones that sound dead spot on. Phil would even probably say that. He's like, obviously he did on his KTR, but what I thought was cool about this immediately is that it's kind of like how my 2-Rock is. Like, it gave me back what I was expecting to hear. And like you said, it's extremely, tweakable. And that, like, the germanium switch makes a big difference, man.
Yes. In feel.
Like, yeah, totally. And that's the thing, is like, when I was playing with that, I realized that, this pedal is not a one-trick pony at all. Because there's a lot of overdrive pedals out there that are straight up one-trick ponies.
Sure.
They do this one thing. They do it extremely well. It'll never let you down.
Yeah.
This thing does that, plus it'll give you other options.
Right.
So if you want to tweak in between songs, like if I want to, like, oh, I need a little bit more gain for this tune, but I like this pedal, I want to use this pedal because of the clarity and because of how it reacts, this thing can do a whole night. It could do a blues jam. It could do a classic rock gig, whatever, man. Like, and then I've stacked it with fuzzes
Yeah,
and other overdrives, and it loves it too. Like
does.
some pedals sag and they get wimpy, and I felt like this like holds its own. If you put a fuzz in front of it, it just lifts
Yeah,
everything up.
it's also very good too if you're a guitar knob player and you roll off and and go ahead. The guitar player that's in my band, how he uses, so he plays like, I haven't played a gig in a minute with everything that's gone. They're coming back though, and I just booked a few, and I'm so stoked to finally get out and play. But yeah, he's still been playing, and he does, like, aside from our band, like cover shows and all that kind of stuff. Then he does is like he'll put it on like a higher gain setting, and the idea of this pedal was a low to mid overdrive, but he'll put it on a higher gain setting and then just roll back. And throughout the song and stuff, he'll increase his guitar output, and it really, it brings an amp alive, and I'm glad that you liked it with other pedals. It was big for us. I really can't stress that enough. I mean, the background that I come from, again, is this tweakability, versatility to make it work in any situation. I try to be like me as a producer too. I try to be like, what do you call it? Like a Swiss Army knife of a producer, of a person, where you can go any way, you can step any direction, and you'll still be able to work. So we kind of wanted to do that with the pedal. And we're working on, if you've seen too, we are working on putting out quite a few pedals. We have 6 that we're going to release very soon. 6.
I haven't seen. I mean, I saw some like teasy type material.
So that's all. We haven't put too much out yet because we're still in the design, still in the build process. We actually just got, and I haven't. There's a couple partners I have, so I haven't had it in my hand yet. But we finally got like the first prototype in an enclosure. I did play through recently. Our Joe made a 3D printed version of like an enclosure. And really awesome. Joe came to us, but let me just talk on that before I get further. He took our Zen Ray to like the next level. He helped us basically kind of re-engineer what we had. And, we had a couple revisions that we had made with Joe on sound, but also just like everything on the pedal, things from assembly to playability are just smoother now. And what he's done for us on the new series that we have coming out, which is called the Harmony series, is just wild. I can't thank him enough for the work that he's done, because he's really crushed it for us. And the Harmony series is following that same principle and that same vibe. Is we want tweakability, flexibility. We want it to like have universal connection with other devices. Any amp, any guitar is kind of like what we're going for. Swiss Army knife a pedal is kind of what we're going for on this new series, and they're designed to work together. So there's 6 pedals that are designed to work very, very well with each other, but also other pedals. A lot of the pedals that we're putting out, they're going to have like a clean blend control, so you can let your clean signal through, and really tweak as much as you want. But it's also important for us to say that we want the controls to be simple. We don't want to overdo it. We're not going to have a pedal that has 20 dials and knobs on it. We keep it simple, stupid, but give it flexibility, and let it vibe with whatever you're putting it down next to.
Dude, as a guitarist, I thank you for that, because option paralysis is a real thing as a player. Like, it
is.
I can't, there's certain companies that I love how it sounds, but I feel like I'm too stupid to use it correctly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yes. And I'm not a dumb guy, but there's some stuff that's just way over my head where I'm just I don't even know. I mean, I feel like I would use it for one thing and it does so much more. It does $300 more than I'm using it for. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
And some of the stuff like Strymon's stuff, I have the Flint, which is one of my favorite pedals of all time.
Yeah, it's great.
But the Lex too, I have that, and it's sometimes I'm like, dude, there's way too many. I don't even know what these buttons do. I know what I like. I know what my ears hear, and my heart hears when I'm playing music. But that's the main thing about this. It's so simple because it's stuff that we all know. It's the gain, treble, volume, bass, mid saturation.
Couple extras in there, but they're not confusing.
No, it's perfect. So everything else, can you say anything about any of the other pedals? What it is? Can you say one? what one of the
Yeah,
effects might be?
why not? I don't know. I don't know. We haven't really had a full, like, as a team, we haven't had like a sit down of like, this is a secret or this isn't or whatever, you know. But honestly, so first of all, the best way, like to anyone that's watching, the best way to stay updated is with our newsletter, because our email newsletter, which you can sign up on our Instagram, has all of the kind of inside scoop on what we've been doing in the background. But with that being said, yeah, I mean, we have a multiple of like, you know, pedals that we're coming out. So I'll just say the first three. All right, why not? So the
That's
effects
awesome.
three. So we have a fuzz that's coming out, and we have a we have a compressor that I think you'd really love. It's a compressor slash boost, and it's light compression. And that this was tough too, because you know I'm a studio guy and like I love like the LA2As and the 1176s, and we went away from that route. We went for a compressor for a guitar player. We didn't go for a studio vibe. We went for a guitar player's compressor with a boost. And I mean, when I, you know, it's one thing when you play them on like a breadboard, but when I finally played the prototype through the various amps, I also have a Fender over here that you can't see. I'm stoked about this pedal. I think most out of everything. And then we have an octave up, a clean octave up. So all three of these pedals will feature a clean blend. And number one, it's really awesome if you're a bass player, because the clean blend is obviously huge for bass to, you know, retain all your low end. But also, it's just real. They're going to be really cool, man. I'm really stoked about it. Like when we finally got the prototypes and played them, we kind of realized like, wow, these are really cool. Simple controls, very flexible, and the ability to work with whatever you throw at it was like our biggest things. And they're small. They're gonna be this size, so you can fit a lot of them.
Dang, man, that's cool. Wow, dude, that's really cool. I mean, I think the compressor, the reason the compressor, like, you know, excites me because I play slide, but like what's the name of that Jackson Audio? The Bloom has that cool. It's like a compressor and a boost in one box, and that thing is pretty rad. But like, it didn't hook me the way some other compressors have hooked me as a slide guitarist, because I don't use a ton of compression, but I have a little compressor that I'll turn on sometimes if I'm playing slide.
Yeah.
But mostly that 2-rock is fine with compressors.
Yeah, right.
Compressors just fine. But that sounds really fun, man. And is the fuzz based on a specific circuit? Like, is it a fuzz spacey thing? Is it zonky or?
It is. For now, I'll just say that it's, you know, it's not a muff. And you know, I'll just leave it at that for now. You know, when we get a little closer, we're gonna have a big rollout and a lot of media about it. But I'll leave it at that for now. But it's cool. We went for kind of unique boutique sounds. Is kind of what we went for. And then, like I said, just modern tweaks, the ability to work with other things that are very well. The clean blend is really cool. You can help keep your sustain on, and you know, keep like neck pickup, finger picking, like, you know, really lets your notes cut through. But the compressor though and the boost, and I mean, I'm telling you, man, I was so stoked about this. I do like compression on guitar, but like you said too, I don't use a ton. I do it like on cleans, finger pick stuff, but this compression and boost that we have can literally be an always on kind of pedal, in my opinion. I love it. It's really cool, and it transformed my amps. I mean, it was really cool. So I'm most excited about that. But we also have 3 others as well that are coming out too. More on like more on the. I'll say though, those are going to be, you know, more on the modulation side of things. But I'm super stoked for it, and it's hopefully soon. Like, we're trying to get these out as soon as possible. We've been working on them in the background for a while now, and working very hard. I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, we're a new company. We put 1 pedal out, and instead of coming out with pedal number 2, we're coming out with pedals 2 through 7, you know? So it's like...
Well, dude, I mean, it's all kind of blowing up though. I mean, for you guys in terms of the visibility, which that was impressive to me in and of itself. Like, I was bought in purely on the passion that you guys were putting out there, even with like the first prototypes in the silver box. Like,
Yeah.
you could obviously, the passion was palpable.
Awesome.
Like you could tell that you guys were like, we have something cool here. We think you guys are gonna like it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And like, so now here's my question though. You release these other pedals in these smaller footprint. You think people are gonna be like, can you put this in a smaller footprint too?
Yeah.
You know what's gonna happen, Ryan.
No, I knew that's where you were going with that question, but it's funny because I haven't thought of that until just now. But I don't know, like this, the Zen Ray kind of holds a special place. I think the series that we're putting out is gonna have kind of its own identity within the Pogo Pedals line. We plan on putting out. I mean, these are big plans for the near future and things like that, but we plan on putting out a couple different series that all have their own, not theme's not the right word, but their own identity. And the Zen Ray does, as cool as it is, it doesn't belong with the Harmony series. The Harmony series is something completely different. So I know right now we don't plan on putting out at least anytime soon like another style Overdrive, but we'll see. We'll see what happens after this release. We haven't talked about maybe another drive style pedal. This is like, far in the future. So
yeah, that's cool. Where did Pogo Pedals come from? Where'd the name come from? Because when I first heard Pogo,
just came.
Okay. Because when I heard that for the first time, I thought of, like, I'm gonna date myself here, but like I thought of the pogo ball when I was a kid. It was like a pogo stick, but it was like a ball, and there was a platform around it that you stood on and you balanced and you just bounced around.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I love that thing. So I was all on board with the name. I was like, that was like my favorite thing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it just came, like, you guys were just like, Pogo Pedal.
Yeah, man. It just sounded sick and we went with it.
That's so great. I wanted to ask you, so, obviously you said, live music's coming back and you're a big music fan and you're a touring musician and you've done all that stuff. If COVID wasn't a thing right now and you could go see any band tonight, you had tickets to see a band tonight, who would you go see?
Well, that's tough. Because me talking about me trying to be this Swiss Army knife of a person, I really believe that describes me pretty well. I'm all over the map, man, because I'm a producer and I do help co-write a lot of songs that come through, and they're all different genres. So I spread myself, across genres. It's so hard for me to like say like, oh, this genre is me or this, band is me. I mean, I would probably go see probably like the Black Keys, I think is who I would go see, which I have seen before. I saw their last tour through Chicago, which was really, really killer. But I also like bands like, 2000s, like emo punk kind of thing, like Silverstein, Under Oath. I really dig those guys, if you know them. Metal.
I don't, but...
Oh, well, they're sick. Check them out. They're older, but...
Okay.
That kind of stuff. The John Mayer's Blues Trio, I caught a set of before, and that exploded my mind. Really, really.
I've never seen him. I've never seen John Mayer. I've been a fan of his since 2001.
Yeah.
Or whatever, but like I've never seen that dude in concert.
Yeah, you should. It's a good time, but definitely catch a night. Like, definitely catch a night of catching where he plays the multiple sets. I mean, that's like, dude, the Blues Trio is just insane. It's so insane. And then to see it live too was like, that was another moment. Like, I've had a couple moments of like what re-sparked me as a musician. And one was discovering the Black Keys. I really vibe with their music a lot. And then the second was like seeing that Blues Trio live was like, wow, like, okay, I want to, it just amped me up.
I love that because, so many people, so many guitarists get into this downward spiral where they'll go to see a show and they'll be like, oh, man, I'm just going to throw my guitar away. I'm never going to be as good as John Mayer. Where in those moments for me, I'm like inspired to like do better. You know what I mean? Or like, I can write better music. Like, this is like, kind of invigorating in terms of like, and that sounds like for you, that's how you are with like music. If you go see some live music, it just like totally turns you on to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go home to my home studio and then open up a session, but I need to go to bed usually after the concert. But first thing in the morning, I'm picking my tempo and finding a key signature to start a new jam.
You say you're doing a lot of co-writing. Are you doing that like often? Like you're doing it all the time? Like
so Pogo kind of came to fruition. Like it was something that we wanted to do for a while. And so I was a salesperson, and then like the whole COVID thing, kind of happened, and it was a really weird time. And then I had some time off of work, and then that was finally like kind of the match light to like, hey, like we could get this up and going, and so then fast forward a few months, so I left that position to really do Pogo as full time as I can, and then to pay the bills. Yeah, I basically just, whenever I can, I get booked out of my studio. I have a lot of like internet clients, no one like major or anything like that. But I do a couple local bands, and I do a lot of co-writing. I do some kind of like ghost writing, but usually what I do, the internet's really sick. Like I do live sessions now, and I use this app called Discord, and I stream the session to other people. And it's really sick. Like there could be a band on the other side of the computer, like the whole band that I'm working with, and then they could, like, if one of those guys have like a home studio, they're hearing like my mix like through their monitors and like giving me real-time critiques and like, hey, let's do this. Or if I'm working with someone like a guitar player, like they can track something and then send it over to me, and it's like right in my session. And so it's really, really cool. So yeah, I do that pretty frequently. It's definitely not like an everyday thing. But it keeps me creative. It keeps me busy. I do that stuff, and then like I said, I do all the media, so I'm always trying to get media gigs too. Like I've helped logos and stuff, and like simple videos and things like that. I do a lot.
Yeah, it seems like you've got your head on straight when it comes to marketing and knowing how to like reach an audience. And I mean, it's cool to watch this stuff from infancy to now and to like future.
Yeah. It's awesome that you've been around for the whole ride so far. And we got a way to go.
Oh yeah, man. You guys have a bright future ahead, dude. There's like, if you keep pumping out cool stuff like this, it's gonna blow up even more. I mean, when you got Andertons like drooling over stuff, that's not a bad thing either. I mean, I think that's, for me, as a very intense gear loving dude, I have my wife for years was like, right before COVID, she's like, dude, you know what you should do? You should open up your own shop. You love this stuff so much. You should start a shop where you're selling boutique gear and all that. And then I was like, thank God I didn't do that. So not to say that's because I have a friend in Baltimore who has a shop and he's doing fine. Like internet sales are fine and everything. But but I love this stuff so much. So like I really kind of am waiting for I'm the dude that watches all the NAMM videos every year.
Yeah.
Like online, like after, like when are they going to put a new video? When's Premier Guitar going to put their next video out? But hopefully I'm going to go this next year. We'll see what happens. But but it's really fun to see what you've done. And where I was going with this is like, it seems like you guys love what you're doing.
Yes.
I said obvious. It's totally obvious. But like you're business-wise, you're really handling it well. And it seems like the arc of this company right now is obviously it's going like this, and you're just like ideas, and like you're not pushing them. Like you haven't been like, hey, there's 6 new pedals coming out. Psych, wait, no, there is. No, it's like some people roll stuff out, and it's like, dude, what? Like, did that ever happen? Nothing ever happened with that. But you seem like I know what I'm doing with this. Like, it's cool.
Let me stop you there. One, thank you. Those were really awesome words. But two, it's like I don't know if it's as much as like I don't know what I know what I'm doing, or I don't think I know what I'm doing, but I do know that there's this is a ton of passion behind this project, and we basically we have this like intermittent language within me and my other partners of like if we're doing this, and we're gonna. We're not going to let like my ego get in the way of like making a stupid little video that like, or whatever. Like we're willing to try out anything, in order for us to get to where we want to do. And if something doesn't work out, we're going to like shift directions and figure out the new plan and immediately put that plan to action is like such a big thing. We've been kind of, it's funny because like, we're brand new. You know what I mean? But very early on, we've developed like a company kind of culture, and with like the culture that we've built, it's like hard to wake up today and be like, oh, I'm only going to do it 20% today. You know what I mean? Like we're just like we're hitting it as hard as we possibly can. We're going to bark up like every tree that we can. We're going to make these moves happen is like kind of the ideology, and just, you know, see what we can get done with like actually doing it, you know? So it's worked out well. It's worked out well. You know, I do a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of media, and that kind of came from like, you know, being in a band and all that kind of stuff is like having constant media and being creative, being kind of funny sometimes or whatever, and showing behind the scenes. So like all that stuff did come really naturally. It's a little different when talking about like products and stuff, but it's been fun. You know, I enjoy it, and like there's definitely a lot of just personal passion between all of us to get this as, you know, to where we want it to be.
It's dope, man. It's so dope. I mean, you can tell. I mean, I like the fact that you guys are in it to win it, kind of thing. You know, it's really fun to watch, Ryan. I mean, I wish you guys all the success in the world, because, you know, I know people say like the world needs another overdrive pedal, but it does. Why not? Think about how many millions of guitar players are out there that are trying to find their sound.
Yeah.
You know, like dude, I'm 42. Like, I don't think I really found what my sound was until I was about 38.
Yeah.
So, and I've been using pedals and gear since I was 12, you know, not knowing, I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I was 12, but like,
yes.
But like, even in college, man, like I was like starting to mess with pedals, and like I bought a tube screamer. I bought like a TS9, and I was like, how do you use this? You know what I mean?
That's funny, dude. My a story I always tell is like, so my first real amp was a Vox Super Beetle, which is like
those little guys. Yeah, I know what it is.
With the chrome cabinet, right? So that was like the first amp that like I got that wasn't like, you know, just, you know, garbage or whatever. That was like my first real amp. And I was new at guitar kind of at that point. I mean, I played for a few years, but it was always through this digital, just like super high gain. Like I had no clue what tone was, you know? And I remember plugging that thing in, and I was like, man, this sucks. You know, I never once like took it and like maxed the volume out to see like how driven it could get. Like I didn't understand that, you know. My first pedal was this guy, I believe. You know, I put this into a box, and I still didn't, I'm telling you, I still didn't get it at that time. I was like, this just doesn't. I'm like, I don't know, because I'm playing like drop D riffs, metal riffs, and I was like, I don't know. Of course, you know, I love this pedal now, and many others, but like, it's just funny to me that like, it took a while for me to understand like what tone was, and I did have really good tools, but like I sold that thing, then I got an orange after I sold that to buy an orange, so I was like, okay, cool. I play in this like kind of bass heavy kind of rock band, so that was more like, okay, now I'm getting it, you know, now I'm getting tone, and then I started getting into pedals from there. But yeah, it's just funny. Like I spent a lot of time not knowing what tone was, and then once you do, then your tone grows with you as you know, as you grow as a player, as you grow as a musician. Technology is getting wild, man. Have you seen the new Fender amps that they just came out with? They're like,
oh my god, I really want to try that Super Reverb Tone Master. That thing sounds dope. There's like, and they didn't do. I feel like they missed the mark a little bit on the first two, on the Twin and the Deluxe.
Yeah.
The reverb on those was so. I say this all the time. People are like, stop saying that, but it's like, it's so washy, so quick, Ryan. It's like, if you plug into those and like the reverbs on two, it's like, it's just like way too much wet. And I'm just like, dude, why they have a bunch of amazing reverb pedals out there. I mean, even like Boss put out that Fender reverb. Why couldn't they like figure out a way to like get that into that Tone Master? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, that thing looks dope.
tech's getting cool. You know what I mean? And like I said, dude, I toured with this with the Helix, which is like my favorite. It's still, as much as I'm in the hardware now and all that, dude, the Helix is like such a cool tool. Actually, this is funny. I have one viral video on YouTube, and
Really?
it's cringy, man. It's so when I was touring, I think I had red hair at the time, and I shot it in a basement, and like it's really bad. But if you YouTube search like should I buy a Line 6 Helix, my video pops up and there's like 60,000 views on it. I hit the dude. I connected with people and I hit the timing right. I got the Helix right when it came out, and then I immediately went on tour with it. So I got a ton of experience. And then I like explained like how I used it. And again, our company liking versatility, me liking versatility, like that thing is the most universal guitar tool ever. And I made a video just talking about like how many different ways I've used it. Like you could roll up to a venue if they've got good monitors, or if you're an in-ear guy, like just bring the Helix and a guitar, and it's sick. And like most of the people in the crowd, like they would never know. Most of the people, you know what I mean? Like normies, we'll call them normies, but like musicians. And like when you get up there on stage, though, like I did quickly realize, like, okay, after a couple tours, it was like I'm missing something. And it's the tube smell and the tube warmth and the hardware, you know, being there. Like emulations are sick, and they're really, really, really cool, and they're very useful, and they're super tweakable. But there's something to be said when you're moving some air and shaking the stage a little bit, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it could be there's a place for it on fly gigs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, like if you're not in a van and you're not traveling, you're not using your amp. Could be a backup, and it could be a fly date thing. You know, I mean,
some of these amp sims are getting wild now too.
I know.
Wild. Do you use it because like you're like a recording guy, and you said you had an Apollo. So do you use any like the UA amp sims on there at all?
I don't, but I borrowed an aux for a while, and I fell in love with that thing, and I want to get one.
Yeah.
At some point, my buddy works for UA, so I luckily got like a friends and family discount. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to afford an Apollo X4. Oh hell yeah! that thing is so good, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I was amazed when I played through that how much I loved it. Like I didn't think I was going to like it. I was like, it's not going to feel right if I have headphones on and blah blah blah. And I borrowed one and did a video, like a first reaction video on my YouTube channel, and I freaking loved it. It was great. So it's so good.
Guitar tools are getting wild. Guitar tech's getting wild, you know, and builders are getting wild these days. I see some crazy stuff out there, and it's just cool to see, like, you know, the cycle of like even like kind of the stuff that we're doing too is like, okay, so these vintage tones are legendary. It's like, but how do we put a new spin on it? How do we get inspired from it? Like, there's a lot of people that do clones and stuff, but it's like, how do we get inspired from that and bring it to what are people today looking for? You know, what's missing, and like what's that gap there, and how do we fill that in? Is kind of like that's at least kind of what we're doing with the Harmony series. It's going to be coming out soon.
It's gonna keep pushing that envelope, man. You know, it's like always stay like one step ahead and try to like create some sort of like interest in something new. That's got to be so hard, but man, it's like if you find that niche, you know, it's like, and you guys will have that. That's the lane, you know, that's the lane you cruise in. Yeah. Well, you ready to do some lightning round get down? I don't want to keep you from your family, so
okay, let's hit it.
Let's do this thing. All right, so you know the rules, right? There are no rules. It's kind of like Fight Club.
Okay.
But you can explain your answers if you want, Ryan. You don't have to, but I don't mind hearing explanations. All right? Here we go. Let me get my trusty. This is my nerdy book of lightning round questions. This is my Xavier School, my X-Men nerdiness.
Go ahead.
What were you going to say? Okay.
No, go ahead.
All right, Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
Okay. Soda or root beer?
Neither.
Neither? Okay.
Neither.
1 or 2 channel amp?
It used to be 2, but it's probably 1 now.
Okay. Rocky or Rambo?
Rambo for sure. hands down.
Pancakes or French toast?
French toast, hands down, 100%. Final
Okay.
answer.
All right. We were talking about attenuators. So would you rather have an attenuator with a really high headroom amp or a low watt amp? Meaning the attenuator is only for the high. Yeah, okay.
Attenuator with a really high output amp.
Okay. All right. So if we're in an apocalypse, right? Would you rather that apocalypse be like Walking Dead zombies or more Mad Max?
Walking Dead zombies for sure.
Dang. Okay, cool. That's gangster. Monopoly or Trivial Pursuit?
Pokemon Monopoly.
Okay. Zen Drive or Zen Ray?
Zen Drive.
Okay. And then the last one, Ryan, is always the same. If you could take one album and erase it from your memory, so you've never heard it before, just so you could go back and listen to it and experience it again for the first time, what album would that be?
That's tough, but I think I'm going to have to go with The Heart and say Discovering the Waterfront by Silverstein, which I mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay, so then I got to check out this band. Yeah, so how come?
Okay, so maybe this is it, man. You asked me a while ago, like when it was like, what was it? What you asked me, like what sparked me to be a musician or want to play guitar, or I think that album might be it. That was like, so that band was around like when I first got into music and like CD players were changing into MP3 players, you know, at that point. And when they released that album, and it was just huge for me, man. I was in school and didn't have a lot of space on like the first MP3 players that came out, and I crammed it with that. I crammed it with Under Oath. Hawthorne Heights was another one. And it was like the first time that I really listened to music that like wasn't just like sticks that my dad played in the car, or like, you know what I mean? It was like the first time. It was like the first time I found an identity of like music that like I could associate with me, and then I listened to it hard. You know, I actually have the. Hang on.
Nice paraphernalia.
Let's see. Yeah, I have the. This is the album artwork.
Oh, nice.
And it was like
very Van Gogh.
I can't see it. And this was kind of around the time too when like I started like really kind of playing guitar too. So like I could play the whole album, you know, front to back and not miss a beat. I always say too, like, so this kind of music is like, you know, because I'm a younger guy, you know, I'm not quite 30 yet, and a lot of us like in the 25 to kind of 29 range, like this is like it's like coming back, and I'm so stoked. It's like a nostalgia thing, you know. And if you ever see these venues or bars, they call them emo nights now, where they have like an artist from a band come out, and they DJ or whatever, and then it's like usually kind of karaoke involved too or whatever. And like so like this is big in that now in like
really?
This kind of style bands. Yeah, it's really big. Like emo night, if you haven't heard of it, it's really sick. And I always joke around. I'm like, man, I would just like, it would be so fun to do like a cover band kind of thing, like that style, because like nobody's doing that. You know, cover band is just like really wide range, or like a tribute band, but like I would just love to do the like 2000s like punk emo era kind of thing. Like, oh, it'd be sick.
That's awesome, man. I mean, anything that lights your fire, man. I feel like I feed that all the time, and then you'll get to the point like, this is where I'm like, old man, like sage advice, but like I feel like for me, man, I think only in the past like 5 years did I start getting like nostalgic about going back and like listening to all these bands that like made me who I am. I've always been a huge Pearl Jam fan. They've never left my life, but like,
okay, sure.
Going back and finding like tunes that I forgot how much I loved, like that Space Hogs tune in the meantime, and like just things that oh my God, I forgot about this song. And then I'll go down a rabbit hole. Like, so the band Live, that album Throwing Copper that came out in, I don't know when that was in the 90s, but like that band, I forgot how amazing every song is on that record.
Yeah.
And the thing that brought me back to it, funny enough, is one of my best friends who I went to music school with, who was my drummer at school, is now in that band.
Oh, that's cool.
And is like playing Augs percussion with them. And going to see, he got me to come to a show because they were coming through Baltimore, and just watching him play and hearing all those songs, because it was like the 30th or 25th anniversary of that record. I was like, oh my God, this song's great too. Oh my gosh, this song, it's like you just forget. Like, for some reason we forget about that stuff.
You get to rediscover it. It's funny you say that too, about like your scenario, like, oh, now my friend's like in the band or whatever. I've actually had the pleasure of like, that has happened with me, but now with a friend, with me personally, through my own music career. It's been a wild ride. Like, there's been seriously quite a few instances where like my favorite band, like in high school or whatever, like, oh, like he's like featured on my band's song now, and he shot a music video with us. And then my like one of my other like really good favorite bands, actually the drummer produced our record. He drummed on I think 4 of the songs at the time too. And like we stayed at his house in California and stuff. And it was just like, it's so wild that I'm really glad that like I got those experiences, because it's kind of surreal. Like, it's like, man, like I jammed these dudes, like, and then I'm like here and like working alongside with them. That was like a crazy experience, and that definitely lit my flame too. Not only as a musician, but also in the production world, especially the second one with the producer. It was just really wild, really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude. That's so great. Well, Ryan, man, thank you again. I'm sorry about the technical issues. Ryan had to be on his phone because we were having some issues. He's not the one that chose to do that. I made him do it because we were having all these issues. His rig sounded amazing, but something happened. But Ryan, just tell everybody where they can find Pogo, and I know you said something about the newsletter. So
Instagram right now, Pogo Pedals. We're actually I just launched. I did all the media for it. I don't know if you saw the giveaway, but we just did like a huge giveaway. So we're giving away a Zen Ray and then a ton of other really cool pedals with partners. But yeah, just Pogo Pedals on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. We're trying to get our YouTube started as well. We have one of those link in bio things. You can, hit up everything. And the best way to stay involved is definitely the email list. That's where all the behind the scenes stuff about our new products, all that kind of stuff is. PogoPedals.com as well.
Nice. Great. Well, Ryan, man, thank you again. Really wonderful hanging out with you, and keep building stuff like this, man. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I love it. And I keep it close by, honestly. So
awesome.
Thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging out. I see a bunch of people in here. Terry, Mario, Kalki, everybody. Hello. Goodbye. As Paul McCartney said, hello, goodbye. But we'll see you next time, folks. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Peace out.
Thanks a ton.